Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome to Pincore Communal, where we have well-known experts and scholars ready to guide you. In this video, you will learn about the basics of machine learning. So coming to the contents you'll be seeing in this video, first we will know the basic working principle of machine learning, then comes different machine learning techniques used, then workflow of machine learning, followed by terminologies used in dataset and machine learning, followed by what does testing and training mean in machine learning, and then comes introduction to machine learning algorithms, followed by conclusion. First we will know the basic working principle of machine learning. Machine learning is a form of artificial intelligence that teaches computer to think in a similar way how humans do. Learning and improving upon past experience, it works by exploring data and identifying patterns and involves minimum human intervention. Any task can be completed with a data-defined pattern or set of rules that can be automated with machine learning. The input data is analyzed using a suitable algorithm and then a model is built and the feedback will be stored for analysis. Machine learning uses different kind of techniques which trains the model on known input and output data so that it can predict the future output or find the hidden patterns or intrinsic structure in input data. Now let us see what are the different techniques that are used in machine learning. If we encounter any machine learning problem, then we can group these problems into three different machine learning techniques, namely supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement. In supervised learning, you train the machine using data which is well labeled that helps you to predict outcomes for unforeseen data. In unsupervised learning, mainly we will deal with unlabeled data. Hence, it helps to know all kind of unknown patrons in a data and to find the features which can be useful for categorization. Lastly, in reinforcement learning, it's a type of machine learning technique that enables an agent to learn in an interactive environment by trial and error using feedback from its own actions and experience. Next, we will know the workflow of machine learning. We can define the machine learning workflow in 5 stages. First is gathering the data. Data gathering is one of the most important stage of machine learning workflow. During data collection, we have to define the usefulness and accuracy of the project based on the quality of data we collect. To collect the data, we need to identify the sources and aggregate the data from those sources into a single subset. Once our data is collected, next we have to pre-process it. And data pre-processing involves cleaning, verifying and formatting the data into a useful data set. If the data is collected from a single source, then this will be a straightforward process. The next step is building the data sets, and this phase will involve breaking the data into 3 data sets, that is training set. It is used initially to train the algorithm and teach it how to process the information. This will define the model classification through parameters. Next is validation set. It is used to estimate the accuracy of the model. This data set is used to fine-tune model parameters. Last is the test set. It is used to access the accuracy and performance of the model. This set is meant to expose any issues or mistrainings in the model. We look into the 4th stage in the workflow of machine learning, that is training and testing. Once we have data sets, then we can train the model. This involves feeding the training to a set and appropriate algorithm so that it can learn appropriate parameters and features that are used in classification. Once training is complete, we can refine the model using validation dataset. Model evaluation is the next step, which is an integral part of model development process. It will help to find the best model that represents our data and how well we choose the model will work in the future. Based on feedback, we will decide whether to train the model or to improve the accuracy, adjust the output settings, or to deploy the model as needed. Next, we will learn about the terminologies that is used in the dataset. Data is a collection of facts, measurements, observations, or just description of things which are represented in text, number, or multimedia. Now, a data set is a structured collection of data and it will be normally presented in a tabular pattern. Every column describes a particular variable, and a data set mainly consists of two components, that is rows and the column. Now we will look into the terminologies. The first is supervised learning. When a program is trained on a predefined data set, based on the training data, the program can make accurate decisions when new data is given. For example, we can use a training set of humans tagged with positive, negative, and neutral tweets so that we can train a sentiment analysis classifier. Next terminology is unsupervised learning. If the program has a data set, then it can automatically find the patterns and relationships in the data set. For example, analyzing a data set of emails and automatically grouping the related events based on the topic. Next terminology is classification. This is nothing but a subcategory of supervised learning. Classification is the process where we will take some sort of input, we will assign a label to it, and they usually used when predictions are like in a discrete manner, in the sense yes or no. For example, if we get an picture of an individual, we can classify it as male or female. Now we will look into more terminologies used. Another subcategory of supervised learning used is the regression. And in this, we will predict the data apart from yes or no decision. Here we will predict the data that falls somewhere on a continuous spectrum. Then regression systems could be used. For example, to answer questions such as how many or how much, this model suits well. Next is the decision tree. A decision tree is a decision support tool that uses a tree-like graph or model of decisions and their possible consequences. A decision tree is also a way of visually representing an algorithm. For example, if there is a school who want to make a co-education from 5th standard, first it will check the student gender, it is male or female. If it is yes, if she is female, she is greater than age 10, then she belongs to class 5. If her age is less than 10, then her gender is female, there is no co-education below 5th and hence she does not belong to class 5. The next is the generative model. A generative model is used to generate the data values when some parameters are hidden. They are used for either modeling the data directly or as an intermediate step to forming a conditional probability density function. Let's look at the next terminology used in dataset, that is discriminative model. They are a class of models used in machine learning to model the dependency of a variable. As these models try to calculate conditional probabilities, they are often used in supervised learning. Next one is the neural network. Inspired by biological neural network, artificial neural networks are a network of interconnected nodes that make up a model. They can be defined as statistical learning models that are used to estimate or approximate the function that depend upon large number of inputs. After knowing its terminologies, it's important to know what does testing and training means in machine learning. Testing data. In machine learning, training data is the data set used to train a machine learning algorithm or a model. Training data requires some human involvement to analyze the process or to analyze the data for machine learning use. Training data sets can include text, image, video or audio, and they can also be available in many different formats. Looking into the test set, it is a set of observations used to evaluate the performance of the model using some performance metrics. It is important that no observations from the training set are included in the test set, because if the test set contains examples from the training set, then it will become difficult to access whether the algorithm has learned to generalize from the training set or simply it has memorized it. Next, we will learn about the different types of machine learning algorithms. First is the linear regression. It is used to estimate the real values based on the continuous variables. And here we establish the relationship between independent and dependent variables by fitting a best line, which is known as regression line. Let us consider an example. If we ask a child to arrange people in his or her class according to their height, that is in increasing order, then he or she would likely look at their height and also their personality, that is the visible parameters, and then they will classify it. This is an example of linear regression in real life. Next is logistic regression. It is used to estimate discrete values based on given set of independent variables. In simple words, it predicts the probability of occurrence of an event by fitting data to a logit function. This is what logistic regression gives you. For example, if we are tossing a coin, we can easily guess that the output will be heads or tails. What if we are given 2 dice and decide what will be the possibility of getting 6 in the first dice and not getting 6 in the second dice? So in such conditions, logistic regression will provide us a suitable solution. Now let's look into the next type of machine learning algorithm, that is support vector algorithm. It is a classification method, and in this algorithm we will plot each data items as a point in n-dimensional space with the value of each feature being the value of a particular coordinate. For example, now we are having 2 different features of an individual. First, we will plot these 2 variables in a 2-dimensional space. Now we will find some line that will split the data between these 2 differently classified groups of data. Depending upon whether the testing data lands on either side of the line, that's what class we can classify it as a new data. Next is the KNN algorithm, that is K nearest neighbor algorithm. It can be used for both classification and regression problems. K nearest neighbor is a simple algorithm that stores all available cases and classify the new cases by a majority vote among the K nearest neighbors measured by a distance function. And this distance function can be Euclidean, Manhattan or Hamming distance. For example, if the K value is 1, then the case is simply assigned to the class of its nearest neighbor. At times, choosing K turns out to be a challenge while performing KNN modeling. Now we'll look into the next kind of machine learning algorithm, that is K-means. It is a type of unsupervised algorithm which solves the clustering problem. Its procedure follows a simple and easy way to classify a given set through certain number of clusters. The k-mean algorithm will pick the k number of points called centroids for each cluster. It now creates new centroids based on existing cluster. With these new centroids, the closest distance for each data point will be determined. This process will be repeated until the centroids do not change. Next algorithm is the random forest. A collective of decision trees is called a random forest. To classify a new object based on attributes, each tree gives a classification and we say the tree votes for that class. The forest chooses the classification having the most vote and each tree is grown to the most substantial extent. There is no cut down and there is only growing. I hope you have understood about the basics of machine learning, and after this you will be able to answer questions such as basic working principle of machine learning, workflow of machine learning along with the different techniques that are used in machine learning and the terminologies that are used in machine learning. In the upcoming video, we will learn about the machine learning algorithms more in depth. If you have any queries, drop a mail to communal@pincore.in or reach us on 9686 963065. To become volunteer member, try to drop down to below location. Thank you. If you have any queries, then drop a mail to communal@pincore.in or reach us on 9686 963065. To become volunteer member, try to drop down to below location. Thank you for watching and stay tuned till next session.